Welcome to day 2 of your digestive system study in health. Today we will move on from the 5 major organs to the accessory organs. So as a quick review, the 5 major organs, the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine, form that 30-foot long tube that your food actually travels through as it's processed through the digestive system. The 4 accessory organs are not directly part of that tube. Instead, they're adding something to the digestion process through what they produce and make. So your job as you go through this will be to color and label those 4 organs that we'll be adding to your notes today, and then to write the name and description of them in the small box in that lower corner of or first page of your packet. Please pause, rewind as needed. So first we've got the liver. The liver actually has jobs for multiple systems of the body. In the digestive system, its job is to make the bile that helps digest fat. So it produces this bile, which is a chemical that then is added into your digestive system to help break down the fat you eat. Fat is actually a really important and good nutrient for your body because it's so energy rich. Too much of it is going to get too many calories, and there's side effects to that. But in small doses, your body's good at processing it and can use it really effectively as energy. Here's what the liver looks like in real life. It's one of the most nutrient-dense organs in the human body. So if you're ever asked what single part of an animal that you might harvest or eat would you want to eat, your answer should be the liver. So it's a delicacy in some cultures, like foie gras is the liver of duck, which I think is sad, but they specifically raise some types of duck to harvest their livers because they're such a delicious and nutritious food. And animals that eat or kill and eat other animals like wolves, the liver is going to be like the most prized part of that animal to eat first because of how nutritious it is and healthy for that animal. The gallbladder works in hand with the liver. So the gallbladder stores the bile that the liver makes and then releases it after you eat. So the gallbladder is like a little balloon, and after the factory in the liver produces it, it comes to the gallbladder for storage, and then the brain sends a signal to the gallbladder once food has been eaten to send some of that bile into the digestive system through a duct or tube. Gallbladder is pretty small. It also is green in real life because the bile that the liver makes is a green kind of juice. So if you've ever harvested an animal, you might see that green goop, which comes from the gallbladder. The next organ is the pancreas. It also makes a chemical that helps break down your food. In particular, it makes what are called enzymes that speed up the process of digestion to make it go faster and more effectively as food travels through. In real life, here's what it looks like. It's got lots of blood vessels, and along with the gallbladder, it's got tubes that enter the small intestine just after your food leaves the stomach, to add those chemicals so that as your food is going through the very long, twisty pathway of the small intestine, these chemicals are helping break it down so that it can be absorbed into your bloodstream and those nutrients can be used by your body. Last but not least, the appendix. The theoretical job of the appendix is to store good bacteria. It's located just off of your large intestine where food is entering from your small intestine. So it could add bacteria to that food to help do the final breakdown as the last food nutrients are being removed and the waste is being produced during its travel through the large intestine. Now, I said in theory because the appendix is considered to be a vestigial structure. There's some new vocabulary. That means it's not really functional, or it's not vital to human function. So people can get by without an appendix. And quite a few people over the course of their lives do get their appendix removed because the problem is you don't know you have an appendix until it becomes infected and then causes severe pain. And you have to get it removed surgically to make sure it doesn't cause further problems or infections. So there's at least one of your classmates who no longer has their appendix and can tell us a firsthand story maybe next class about what it's like to deal with appendicitis and then having an appendectomy. That concludes your notes, so make sure you've got all 9. taken care of. We're going to spend just a little more time talking about the appendix. Here's what it looks like. It's like a 1-2 inch kind of worm-like projection off the large intestine, unless it becomes inflamed and then it swells up, gets red, gets puffy, gets painful, and now there's bad bacteria in there causing an infection. I'm going to show this brain pop appendix as you're watching. Think about what the function of the appendix is, what might cause appendicitis, what are some symptoms, and then how is it treated? And finally, what % of people might develop appendicitis in their lifetimes? This will be part of the quiz you take after this video. So without further ado, here comes the brain pop appendix video.
Yeah, I ate way too much pizza. Oh, no, I think an antacid will do just fine. Just what do you think you're going to do with that scalpel? Dear Tim and Moby, my sister's getting her appendix out. What is the appendix and what does it do? From Red. The appendix is a small tube attached to the large intestine. The large intestine is part of the digestive system, the set of organs that takes nutrients from food and gets rid of waste. Inside the large intestine, water is removed from digested food, leaving behind solid waste material or feces. Yes, that's another word for it. And in case you were wondering, an organ is a set of tissues that are joined together to perform a common function. Your heart, your lungs, and your liver are all organs. Well, the appendix is a dead end. It doesn't lead to anything. It just sort of dangles off the part of the large intestine called the cecum. That's where the small intestine empties into the large intestine. Well, the appendix plays a small part in the immune system, but it's not a necessary organ. In fact, most doctors agree it's probably vestigial. That means it's lost most or all of its use through evolution. But even though it has no vital function, the appendix can cause serious problems. In some cases, it can get infected and cause a condition called appendicitis. Besides being extremely painful, appendicitis is dangerous. If left untreated, the infected appendix can burst, leaking harmful bacteria into the rest of your body. That's called peritonitis, and it can lead to organ failure and even death. That's why doctors will usually operate as soon as they know it's appendicitis. The operation is called an appendectomy. It involves the surgical removal of the infected tissue. Back in the day, it'd leave a small scar on the lower right side of your abdomen. But today, most appendectomies are laparoscopic or performed through incisions less than 2 centimeters wide. Appendicitis is most common in people between the ages of 10 and 30. But that's no reason to panic every time you get a stomachache. It's true that vomiting and loss of appetite are the main symptoms of appendicitis. But the pain from appendicitis starts in the middle of your abdomen and then moves down and to the right, the opposite of your stomach. It's often accompanied by diarrhea or constipation, a low fever, and nausea. It's no simple stomachache. How to prevent it? Most cases are caused by a blockage in the appendix, which cuts off blood flow, leading to an infection. So there's nothing much you can do to actually prevent that. But remember, appendicitis is fairly common. 7% of all people will develop it in their lifetimes. And an appendectomy is fairly safe as operations go. No, I still don't want you operating on me. I don't see how that's supposed to make me feel better about it.
All right, so good news, bad news. Good news for me, I'm almost 31, so I'm out of the high risk category for getting appendicitis. Bad news for you guys, until you hit 30, from 10 to 30, that's the most likely range you could deal with appendicitis. There's the way they usually remove your appendix now, through a laparoscopic procedure, which is pretty amazing. We'll talk more about that when we get to conditions and injuries. There's what an infected appendix might look like when it is removed.